Hey guys, this is Kaeomakana Tiwanak, that's KO for short, and this is the retail sample for the audiobook Sibling Suicide, Journey from Despair to Hope by Nathan S. Wagner. It's available for purchase now on Audible, links are down in the description, and stay tuned because in the next few days I'm going to be uploading a video of my personal thoughts while I was recording this book. Enjoy! It was the summer of 2002. And I was finishing up my junior year at Cairn University, formerly Philadelphia Biblical University. My major was Bible, with the focus on youth ministry and counseling. As a part of my program requirements, I had a youth internship at the Evangelical Free Church of Hershey, Pennsylvania. I was 2/3 through my summer internship when my world changed forever. I was enjoying having conversations with the adolescents in the youth group. During the summer months, youth group was held off church grounds at a handful of local homes. Teenagers were interacting with each other as well as with the youth staff. We were talking about summer vacation, the Mexico mission trip that would start the next week, and going back to school in August. At the same time, I did not have a care in the world. I enjoyed receiving college credits for spending time with teens, since at the time I was studying to become a youth pastor. I was able to develop relationships with many teenagers and youth leaders and share my heart and passion for life. I remember that early in the evening, around 6:30 or 7 p.m., an adult approached me. She said that my parents had called and asked me to come home right away. She shared with me the urgency of the message, but not the content of what was wrong. I remember not speaking to anyone on the phone, which felt strange at that moment. I didn't understand why I couldn't know more information about the situation. This had never happened before. But I thought that if my parents wanted me to come home early, they would explain more. I realized at that moment that whatever happened would need to wait until I arrived home. I did not have as much access to a cell phone as we do today. I knew something was very wrong, but I had no idea that this would be the day my life would change completely. The drive home took me about 15 to 20 minutes, but it felt like it took forever. I felt anxiety at this time, but it was related to the uncertainty about what was happening. One specific thing that I remember about this drive was that when I was almost home, I saw a deer in the trees. This stuck out to me. I arrived home to discover that my mom had several of her friends at our house. It confused me because my mom did not typically have people over to the house that late at night. As I recall the events of the day, my dad asked me to sit down before he told me that Brian, my only sibling, had completed suicide. I don't know the exact words he said, but it was something like, Brian killed himself, or Brian took his life. The exact words don't matter, but the intensity of the news hit me like a tornado that completely destroyed my world as I knew it. My response. I was devastated. Little did I know that one act of despair would impact every aspect of my life for the rest of my life. I am certain that I wasn't able to say anything for several moments as I was in shock. I did not know Brian very well, so I was clueless that Brian was in a dark spot where he would consider not living anymore. I was in disbelief about what had happened. I was left speechless. There is nothing that I could have learned in school that would prepare me for this. I found myself crying a lot. My first reaction was selfish, and I thought exclusively about how it was going to impact me. I recognized how my relationship with Brian could never be what I wanted. Every hope for a meaningful relationship with him disappeared in that instant. I felt a deep sense of loneliness and despair due to the reality that Brian and I would never be as close as I had hoped. Furthermore, I felt that no one would ever understand fully what I was going through or what I was feeling. I had an overwhelming sense of sadness. I cried more in those days immediately following Brian's death than I ever had in the past. I wondered in that moment if I would ever recover and be able to thrive in my life and relationships. I believe that some who will read this memoir will be grieving the loss of a close relationship with your sibling. That was not my experience, but even if your story is different, I believe that there is hope for you as you read this book. Lost possibilities. I found that I wanted to change what happened. I recognized that I can't go back in time to stop this from happening. I won't be close to Brian. Nothing could change the reality that Brian took his own life. I've come to think of this as grieving what should have been, or could have been, a phrase I'll use throughout this book. Thinking about the future memories that won't happen hits me on a deep level. I always longed for a solid relationship with Brian, but he did not know how to connect with me on a deeper level. I'm not sure if he felt threatened by what I was accomplishing, but it hurts me deeply because no one can ever fill that relationship gap. Consequently, I felt guilty because I didn't know anything was wrong. Brian hid his pain and depression from me. I would have wanted to be there to help him through this dark time. He didn't let me, but I still feel guilty.